Hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Bradbury. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do. We did hit 1,000 subscribers the other day, but we're interested in continuing that growth in the year ahead. So as usual, Let's Talk Bradbury, we're going to do a short fiction review. Today's story is A Blade of Grass from 1949. 3,000 years into the future, a race of robots called the ʻbrædɛ̀bɛri rule a sterilized planet Earth. A council of 17 elders, led by a zealot named Krant, meet to decide the fate of one of their own named Ulthar. Ulthar has been experimenting with biological life, which is illegal, and they sentence him to be rust. So the council goes out to his compound to apprehend him. Ulthar explains that from a single blade of grass that he found, which had managed to survive the sterilization process, using that and also a small primate he found, he manages to do a lot of biological tinkering and basically recreate humanity, which was destroyed 300,000 years earlier. To the ʻbrædɛ̀bɛri, flesh is seen as a blasphemy. It's seen as unpredictable, temporary, and sort of an inferior form of life. But Ulthar does his best to explain to them that flesh came first and created the ʻbrædɛ̀bɛri, who instead have created their own religion where they claim that that flesh was an accident and that the robots had ruled the world first mechanically, and that nothing good could come from sort of the randomness of natural selection and of evolution, and that only through constructing themselves, by constructing things, building things, sort of a mechanical world, can any good possibly come. But he tells them about art and religion, life and death, and how life is only worth living because it's temporary, whereas the ʻbrædɛ̀bɛri are immortal, relatively immortal. They could be shut down. And that basically, in a sense, robot life is in fact meaningless. He convinces the leader of the group, Krant, who is basically at first the biggest zealot, who was anti-flesh, that he convinces Krant to see his point of view. However, Krant wants to cover this up and allow it to happen, but instead the other 16 and the council decide that they can't accept this, and that Ulthar must be shut down, and that this life form, this new human created, must be destroyed. So I would say that your average critic reading this would probably call it juvenile, heavy-handed, preachy. It is very much out in the open. The message of this story is not hidden in the least, but I've always found that to be one of the charming possibilities of short science fiction, sort of these little morality tales, these little parables and fables, and sort of instances of where you can let your philosophy and your message hang all out and sort of dress it up with the shockingness of it, the weirdness of it, the sort of the vast difference between us and in reality and the story, but also using that to frame the similarities. I think it's very, in its own way, very beautiful and very applicable to 2020, when the issue of AI is becoming bigger than it has in human history. One of the main messages here is artificial intelligence, art, science as religion, replacing actual religion, the environment. All of these things are under attack and in flux here in present day, and they're all very much on the agenda in this story from the end of the 40s, which I thought was really neat. It just shows how, although 50, 60, 70 years seems such a long time, we're not that very different from our grandparents, really. I love how Krant's opinion changes within the space of this tale, how he goes from robotic zealot to someone being open to the idea of the flesh. But also, it's interesting how the others on the council refuse to change their worldview. This is not enough to get them to believe in this other way of seeing. And I think that's very interesting today, because if you look at issues like religion, science, environment, all these things, let's use global warming. I'm not saying yes or no to global warming, but if you look at it and you would say that support for the environment is growing. More and more people are, and including scientists, agree that man-made global warming is a thing and that it's dangerous and that we could change it. But there's always this group of people who refuse to accept that point of view. How long does it take until something gains 100% acceptance? Can all living current people do it? Or do you have to wait for a new generation to be indoctrinated? And in the case of the ʻbræddsbɛri, they've had 300,000 years to indoctrinate each other to the belief that robotic life is superior and that flesh is inferior. So how long does it take us in our society today to take in any given issue, be it global warming, religion, science, how many generations does it take to reach the point where everybody is on board? And can that be achieved at all because of the randomness and of flesh, because of free will? Is it even possible? So that's an interesting topic. I think it's a great story. Probably very, very good for the young, especially, but also useful to adults, because we have a lot of ignorant adults out there. And I think if you're an adult who is not the most analytically minded, these types of slightly more obvious, heavy-handed sci-fi situations are possibly the best method for transmitting this information, should the transmission of the information be the goal of the author and actually have an agenda, which I'm not saying Bradbury had an agenda, but if he did, this is a pretty cool one. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. I'm working through the story collection, Ray Bradbury Stories. There's 100 stories in it. We're about halfway through. Been at it since 2018, sometime late 2018. I intend to finish the whole collection, a few stories at a time, a couple times a week here on Let's Talk. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure to check that out. In the past, I also did a series where I read the complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft, reviewed each story individually, and that playlist can be found here as well. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you read this story, what do you think about it? Do you like it? Don't like it? Either way, give the video a thumbs up, maybe drop a positive comment, and I'll see you again soon.